Well, welcome everyone to our webinar today, Harnessing AI to Transform Personal Finance Teaching. And I'm so glad to see everyone today who's joined us for this very important topic. And I will introduce our webinar host here in just a minute. I do want to thank Essential Education for sponsoring today's webinar. And I am Steve Schmidt, the COA Professional Development Coordinator. It's great to see everyone. And if you would please, if you haven't already, introduce yourself in the chat, and we'll be glad to see people coming from all over the country. And just a couple housekeeping chores that if you have anything that you wish to chat during the session, please feel free to use the chat. Would ask that if you put any questions that you have inside the Q&A, and we will look at those questions throughout our session today. Well, I want to make sure that our host for the webinar today, James Redelsheimer, has all the time that he'll need. And so I will go ahead and introduce James, who is the Education Manager at the Foundation for Economic Education. And James, we are so delighted to have you presenting our session today. Thank you so much for doing that. And I will turn things over to James. Thank you, James.
All right. Thank you so much for that nice introduction, Steve. And hopefully you can see my screen here. If not, you can please let me know. Yeah, it's great to see people from all around the country here in the chat. I appreciate that. And as Steve said, feel free to put any questions in the chat. I am so excited to talk about AI and how it can help people with their finances and how it can help you with your teaching. I was a former classroom teacher for 27 years. And then I recently, about 2.5 years ago, left the classroom to take a job with the Foundation for Economic Education. Just a couple things about me, as Steve said. I live in Minnesota and I've taught for 20 years. I'm also the author of Barron's AP Economics, and I went to college at St. Olaf and got my master's at St. Thomas University. There you can see my family. So we have tons of free personal finance curriculum at our thing. Now, I'm not selling anything because everything is free. So we're a nonprofit. We don't charge for anything, but we would love if you would take a moment at some point. And if you register for our free website, it just takes about 30 seconds at teachers.fee. If you just click on that, you can register, and that way you'll be on our email list, find out about all of our offerings, our professional development sessions we have throughout the year. We have an email every day during the school year. We come out with new stuff. The things that would most interest personal finance teachers, we have this Economic Marvels where we let students learn about places they shop and go, economics of the Super Bowl, learn about places that kids and adults are spending their money and how a free market economy works with that. And then Fridays, we have this Financial Empowerment Friday. Every Friday, there is a new lesson that comes out. Again, this is our most popular series, Economic Marvels. We talk about economics of like Crocs, In-N-Out Burger, Trader Joe's, different things like that. And that also comes with a Nearpod option that is very helpful that teachers like, and a really interesting stories that we tell about how a free economy works. I think even adults would be very interested in that as well. And we also have a series celebrating our new Economic Marvels 250th edition, looking at people throughout our history. If you ever teach any history classes along with your personal finance, I think that's a good tie-in to, we featured like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. I went on the Harlem Globetrotters. And one more thing that you could be might be interested in is we have a free financial intelligence teacher certification called the FIT certification. So if you, this is a free test that you can take online. And if you pass this test, we will send you a digital badge and a certificate saying that you are FIT certified. So you can put on your resume, send to your administrators, and showing that you have mastered personal finance. And you test when ready. You can use modules to study online at your own pace. So there's 6 different modules based on the latest national standards in personal finance. And you can find that at teachers.fee. Just look for the FIT certification. And you do have to separately sign up for that. And then we will, within 24 hours, you'll get an email showing that you were accepted into the course, and you just test when ready. So it's a totally learn at your own pace. You can study for hours, or you can go take the test if you feel ready. And yeah, and then of course, people love these badges. So you can get this badge to put on your email that you are a FIT certified educator. And again, these are all no cost. We're not selling anything to you today. Just want to do. We also have a test for students. This is geared towards high school students. You may find this helpful for some adult students as well. All right, I have a 5-question Kahoot here that we are going to play. So let's, excuse me, I'm going to go here and start. So I've got 5 questions on AI, and let's take a look. And you should see you can play it with your phone or scan that, or just go to kahoot.it and put in the code. Or if you can just click on that link that I put in there, you can sign up. All right, congrats to Connor, the first one in. I'm sure you know of Kahoot as an educator, and I will say I have a couple friends that teach at the University of Texas, Austin. They do this every class with an audience of 500 people. So even college students and no adults. I enjoy playing Kahoot. So it's just an easy way to engage your students. All right, great participation here. We're going to start in about 5 seconds in the interest of time. All right, let's get started with this. AI and personal finance Kahoot. What % of students in a recent global survey said they used AI tools in their studies? And the correct answer is 80%. So your students out there are likely using AI. So it's important to, as educators, that we stay on top of things because students are using it. And one educator called it at his school, like it's kind of the elephant in the room, where you realize a lot of teachers don't want to talk about it with their students, but people know the students are using it. So it's important that you address, issues with your students. All right, question 2. The AI and education market predicted to grow from 7.5 billion to what size by 2034? All right, 100 billion. All right. In personal finance, one of the newer AI-powered capabilities is intelligent spending analysis. What does this mean? It can analyze behavioral patterns to reveal hidden habits. So this is one thing that you can do is you could paste like your latest credit card bill, put all your spending, or your debit card. So put all your spending for them, put it in AI and say, what patterns are you noticing? Other subscriptions that I have? And people, a lot of times you're signing up for free trials, then you forget about it and you start spending money. So that's one use of AI. In personal finance, a study reported what percent of Americans have used AI to help with their finances? It is 46%. It is really getting better. Now, AI can make mistakes and hallucinate, like I'm definitely going to talk about in a little bit, but you could post like put your portfolio into and your spending and like even upload your tax document and say, give me an analysis. And it's getting pretty good. And you can cross check it by going to different AIs are free, like Google Gemini, Chat GPT. You can go to Grok from Twitter or X now. All right, JRD in the lead. Last question. In corporate finance, what percent of finance teams are projected to deploy at least one AI enabled solution by 2026? That is 90%. Ooh, we got a smart crowd here. Great work. All right. Congrats to Wendy in third. JRD. Oh, JRD, you were in the lead. What happened? And Connor come back from behind to win. Congratulations to our winners. Okay, so let's move forward with artificial. Get into the weeds here now with some artificial intelligence. Now, I should just note before I get too far. Now, if you're new to using AI, if you haven't used it, in the next 40 minutes or so, unfortunately, we're not going to get you to be an expert in using AI and understanding these. But I think this will be a good introduction, and I want to show you some. My goal is to give you some creative, regardless of what level you're at, show you some creative ways you can use this with your students, and most importantly, help them to be better with their finances and to work towards financial freedom by using these incredible tools that are available. Now, here's a famous investor, the guy who invented the internet browser, Mark Andreessen, said AI is the most consequential innovation we've seen in a generation and transformed the power to address society's most complex problems, the whole new economy, much like we saw with the printing press, electricity, and the internet. Okay, now change always makes people uncomfortable and uncertain about the future. But again, these tools are here, and like any tool can be used for good or bad. But I would encourage people in education, especially, to try to embrace these tools, work with them, practice with them, to stay ahead of what's coming, because it's coming fast. And there's been some changes even in the last couple of weeks about people are realizing, wow, there's some really amazing tools that are incredibly productive that are going to lead to lots of changes in how we work, how students learn, and so on. I see someone ask, yeah, I will share this slide deck with everybody as well. So lessons from history. When I just have one example, we could go through when Henry Ford mass produced the car, how that affected, horse buggy makers, or the calculator in the 1970s. People thought, oh, kids are going to be so lazy with this calculator. A lot of educators, there was a headline in an article in the paper, math teachers were banned the calculators from schools. And the old way, educators feared the atrophy of mental arithmetic, slide rule loyalists fell behind in precision. So these people that didn't embrace new technologies fell behind. And the new way, those who embraced this new technology called a calculator, mastered and reskilled in complex modeling and CAD software. And yeah, so missing that iteration cycle set is going to set you back exponentially if you as educators you don't take any steps towards understanding AI. And I would encourage you to be an optimist. And just to show you how fast this came, time to reach 100 million users, like Google Translate, 78 months, Uber 70, and it only took ChatGPT 2 months to get 100 million users. Okay. Oh, I've got one more question here. Yeah, thanks for that great quote. So if you go to slido.com and type in that code number, oh, sorry, go back here. Didn't mean to do that. Um, if you go to slido.com and type in this, we've got a quick poll here for you. Oh, sorry. You'll just have to look at that on the screen. I'm gonna go back here. Okay. Sorry. One more time. So if you just scan that with your, yeah, thanks, Steve, for putting that in there. Do you have an AI account with a LLM, which is what the large language models, which what they are, like Google Gemini, which is no cost if you have a Google account, Chat GPT, Grok, Claude. All right. So most people here, 80%. Don't worry if you don't have an account. I just wanted to kind of get a survey of uh, what the background is. Okay, next question. And this is helpful for me for the presentation. The use of AI tools and ChatGPT in K through 12, and let's say adult education as well, do more benefit than harm, equal mix of both. And again, these are anonymous responses. We won't see who's doing what. Yeah, these responses are pretty typical from what we receive when I've done these surveys. Nobody put more harm than benefit, which is interesting. Usually, we have a few teachers that do that. But regardless of where you stand on this, students are using these tools, and we need to understand that as educators. Okay, now I would encourage you, even beyond the classroom, AI can really help you if you learn how to talk to it and use good vocabulary and write intelligent prompts to it. You get good stuff out. In fact, I heard a speaker yesterday talk about AI. Said if you put dumb things in, you get dumb outputs. If you put smart things in, you'll get a smart output. But imagine the possibilities of what AI could help you learn a new concept that you're struggling with. Learn about how to, let's say, invest in stock mutual funds. You can keep asking questions or learn a new skill, a tedious task, a social task, a creative task, one piece of advice. So these are all things that you could use AI for. And I just thought this when you're talking to people about entrepreneurship and their own finances. I just saw this article came out recently in the Wall Street Journal that here's this business owner that was how he's using AI to become way better at his job as a business owner. This owner owns like 4 different businesses, and he used to run reports once or twice a year on the cost of goods at his 2 cafes, his bike shops he owns. He would spend hours doing this. Now he does it every 3 weeks with the help of ChatGPT. He can be more productive, learn about his business, and become better, and not waste days doing this. He can do it in a few minutes. And we've heard a lot about the massive loss of feared job losses that are coming to AI, and of course, it is going to change the way a lot of people work. But there's going to be options for people. As the saying goes, AI is not going to replace your job. Someone using AI is going to replace your job. So AI automated 8,000 roles of AI, and then they realized they had it delivered the groundwork, but IBM actually increased their total headcount because it just moved from low level tasks to doing more things. And AI is definitely not perfect as we see it. So you need to double check your answers, maybe use different, check with maybe Chat GPT, run it through Gemini and Grok and other ones. And most of these have free accounts you can make. AI can definitely make mistakes. This was a famous one from I think this was 2 years ago when Google Gemini came out. How many rocks should I eat? According to geologists, eating at least one small rock a day is recommended because rocks contain minerals and vitamins for important for your health. So AI can do that. I was doing a lesson trying to talk about the stock market on the long-term performance of, let's say, Chipotle, the restaurant. and it gave me all kinds of wrong answers. It gave me two. It told me to choose between two different options, and both of them were way wrong. So, one said it went up 10,000, one said it went up 161%, and the actual answer was about 6,000%. So, I could definitely make mistakes. And sometimes it hallucinates and makes things stuff up. It wants to, let's say, agree with it, trying to make people feel good instead of telling them they're wrong. So do be cautious and just know that AI as it's currently used. And we're not in person. Well, sometimes I've done a think, pair, share, but throughout, you don't have to do this immediately the second, but you could put, if you have a tip that teachers might enjoy, say a successful way that you've used AI with your students. Let's just stick to that for now. Professionally through your job or with your students, if you have any ways you put it, go ahead and throw it in the chat. And as I'm going to move on, but go ahead and share any idea, because I'd love to learn from teachers and other teachers. I think we're anytime we can learn from people that are practicing in the classroom is great. All right. Yeah, to help with lesson planning and making assessments. That is a great. So those things can be very time consuming for you, and that what Wendy's comment there, I love that. Speaking of saving time, there was this article from the Wall Street Journal. Teachers are burning out on the job. Now, what are some of the things that are hard? Well, student behavior, I can't really help you with that, but AI, that administrative work outside of teaching. All right. So, wow, this is a great audience. You guys are putting some outstanding ideas in the chat. Great. I love it. Administrative work outside of teaching, like, if you have special education students doing the IEPs or that administrative work that, coming up with a long email for your students, it can help you iterate that, or spend too many hours working. So I think AI can really help teachers and make the profession a better place, because it can be such a difficult profession, because it's an exhausting job. You come home from teaching all day, you're tired, or teaching at night with adult students when they're outside of work. And it can really help with that. Okay, so you guys have a phenomenal list already. You've put, and I really appreciate that. How AI can help teachers. Number one, it can help you plan those lesson plans, rubrics, create a syllabus. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to just put an AI and here's my lesson plan, my syllabus for the year, and it's going to come out perfect. No, it can help you. It's an okay lesson plan thing for me. It helps me like a creative assistant, but I know it's not going to come up with perfect. So I think educators were still valuable and needed, because you can go back at that lesson plan. Oh, this isn't right. And you can, you need to come back with more questions and say, no, clarify this. So that's where that expertise comes in, that is valuable, that I don't see being replaced by any AI anytime soon. I think teachers are going to be just fine for a while. You can differentiate. Of course, you work with people that are reading. You may have people that read really well and people that are low reading levels, don't understand. ESL students, I know, is very big with adult education. So you can adjust text, say, make this adjustment for someone who's, new to learning English, and it will come up with a appropriate reading level. Engage your families and communities about what you're doing, and generate engaging, relevant, personalized content for your students. So things that used to take a long time can be done much easier now with AI. Okay, now the images have gotten pretty good. So I did a lot of presentations when I was a teacher. Create a beautiful mind map image explaining the basics of supply and demand for college students. And it came up with a pretty good graph here. That's just an example of something that, maybe would have took me a long time to create in PowerPoint. It came up with a really good visual. Or the new Nana Banana Pro. Now you may have to pay for the Pro version, but this is an example with surprising results. Just simple prompting. Create a flow chart for an idea, let's say, to teach budgeting basics. Make it as artistic. Okay, this is one of the famous books that is published by the Foundation for Education, iPencil, which you can find free on our website. And it tells the story of how people cooperate all around the world to make something as simple as a pencil. What we think is simple is actually a complex process of specialization throughout the world. So you have wood, you have graphite and clay for the metal, you have paint, and you have the eraser, and all these people, work together around the world so you can get it for a few pennies. And this iPencil story tells the story of how a free market economy works through the story of a pencil. And it made this really cool graphic, and it's a really good graphic. Or it can make, oh yeah, that's great, Steve. Take this essay that was like this was an essay talking about some philosophers, and in the image of a professor whiteboard image, diagrams, arrows. So here's a pretty good prompt here. So it's not just make a graphic, get specific here. Again, the more you put into the prompt, the more effort you put in, the more you're going to get out of it, just like anything in life. Okay. And then I should just give you a preview of what things are coming. Now, I've been following a lot of people that really know AI in the, on Twitter that or excuse me, X, that are talking about this new Opus 4.6, or there's a new offering from GPT. It actually goes through all your file. You just click a file, it will read all your files, your PowerPoints, your spreadsheets, and it can come up with really impressive things. And this, people say this is a real game changer. And I don't know how this is going to affect education, and I haven't used this stuff personally. Let me show you this really short clip of what some things that this Claude can do for work. Basically, it just goes through your files on your computer. It's pretty wild. And that is the new Opus 4.6 from Claude, or Anthropic, the company. Now, I haven't used that personally, but that's just a sampling of what is coming for AI. And a lot of people say it really opened a lot of people's eyes to how fast change might be coming for jobs that do something like that. They can work really fast. So, okay, moving on. After just that little preview of the future, now here's some different tools you can use and the differences. So these are LLMs where you are the engineer. Like, you have to come up with the prompt. ChatGPT. Perplexity, I love, is a great search engine like that. Okay, thanks, Steve, for all those things. Yeah, a lot of people, Jeff has a great question. What are privacy concerns when giving access to your files? Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't used this, and people are concerned about how that's going to work out. So I don't have an answer to that, but that is definitely a concern. And also, if you have a lawyer, it's supposed to be privileged. I just read something today about the legal firms using AI, that if it should be confidential information between you and your lawyer. And if your lawyer puts that into AI, technically your AI has access to that data, and that, there's some privacy concerns. Okay, that's a whole other topic we could talk about. But these are tools with specific prompts for teachers. These are great. Say, like, you just put in a YouTube video and it'd say, give me 10 questions for this. Give me an exit ticket. You have a Diffit for teachers, Magic School, School AI. And again, I'm not here to promote one or more of these. I have the $20 subscription to ChatGPT 5.2, and that's the only one that I pay for at this time. Gemini's free. And if you really want to do cool images, like I said, Gemini has this Nano Banana Pro, which I believe they give you a few samples, and there's a subscription for that. So, and this always changes. They might be free now and cost money later. So, and there's one more that in auto create presentations for YouTube videos with this Chrome extension. So that's another one that wasn't listed on the previous slide. I really like that this extension for Chrome, that it basically, you could have any document up and say, create a quiz, create a lesson plan. You can do all kinds of things with something. So one of the things was I had this really cool video about how cars keep you poor. You have that triple threat of depreciation. You've got maintenance, and you've got interest that you have to pay if you took a loan. So I like this video, and I said, make this into a slideshow for my students. And it actually made a slideshow. It was pretty good. Like I was pretty impressed. Of course, you need that teacher aspect to go through and proofread it, because never trust anything that just comes out of the AI. Then that's why teachers are I think they're going to be needed for a long time, because we have that expertise about what is good instructional format, what can be added or taken out. Yeah, that's a ice cream analogy for car depreciation, right? So, okay, I'm just going to skip that for now. Okay, so let's look at, here's some creative ways that you can get your students thinking about personal finance, and some things that I've done. Okay, make the content more approachable, because all of my students just love Taylor Swift, right? So here I would say, write a song in the style of Taylor Swift about the benefits of investing in index stocks, mutual funds that track the entire stock market, which outperform most active people that are constantly trading. Most people over the long term can't beat just if you're holding the 500 biggest companies, let's say the S&P 500. Emphasize their low cost, ease of use, and how they outperform almost all active traders over the long term. And so the Taylor Swift students were fans were impressed with this, and it came up with a song in the style of Taylor Swift to make it interesting. All right, yeah, shake it off. Yeah, shake off those actively managed funds, right? Because most of those aren't going to be, they have higher costs, and can't beat just the history has shown that they can't beat the index that you can own for a very low cost, like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, Fidelity, Charles Schwab are all some great options. Okay, just a quick shout out for our crew. And we do have 30 lessons called Econ 101 Taylor's version. So when you go to our website, teachers.fee.org, again, I'm not selling anything, because we're a nonprofit. We don't charge for anything. We want to give you great curriculum to use with your students. So if you just click products, and then you would click on the Econ 101 Taylor's version. And then here you can see, like, you'd find our economic marvels or our financial freedom lessons that are very valuable. Okay, there's a website called Suno where you can make a song about a topic of your choice. So here was this prompt I put in: make a song similar to my last prompt about the benefits of index funds for young people, emphasize their low cost, ease of investing, how they outperform. So I went to Suno, and there was no cost for me to do this. I, again, always double check, because people change their subscription models, may change. And it came up with one of these was Index Wins, and it gave me another one, second song, Investing Youth. And so let me see if I can play this here for you. This will work. All right, so here's the song. To make your folks proud, you don't need a fortune or a crystal ball, just a simple plan to catch it all. No need for fancy suits or stock picks. With index funds, you'll avoid the tricks. Low cost in gains that grow with time. Invest smart, young one, and you'll do just fine. Let the market do the moving while you... All right, so that's an example of one of the things that you can do with one of my teacher friends. Actually kind of creates, like, 1 week she'll be talking, let's say, about credit score. So she will go on and create a entire, she'll make a song for credit cards, and play that when the students are working on their assignments or when they're entering class. So there's lots of ways, and you could even tailor it to your class. Like, they have a test coming up and it'll make a song based on your class. So just a fun thing you can do to your students to break up the monotony of class. Would you sing this? Oh, I don't want to scare everybody off the webinar. So thanks for the offer, Steve. But I don't want people to leave. Okay, so here's the strategy. The government now is funding $1,000 to every newborn from 2025 to 2028, and here's the strategy: help students understand these new government savings accounts. Now, you're with adults; they may have kids that are being born, and their kids could get $1,000, like to invest for the long term. And then if Michael Dell, the Dell Computers is also offering an additional $250 to most people and most kids in America, 10 and under. So here was like a prompt I had: explain the Trump savings accounts now in simple terms. What are the accounts? What are the positives? How's compound interest work in a clear example? And how do these people give them a sense of participation in the world's biggest economy, the United States, and how they can understand ownership? So that was a prompt, and it gave me a pretty good answer. Like, it says how compound interest works in one example. So $1,000 when the child is born. If we have a relatively, conservative 7% a year, what happens? By age 60, it'd be $64,000. And that's just with that $1,000. If you add more, that compounding interest is going to be even greater. So, and then supporters highlight those key benefits. Starting early, right? Time is so important when investing. So if you start with that early investment, there's no small amount when it comes to compounding over a lifetime. And ownership helps people build assets, not just income. And it also promotes long-term thinking, because you can't really touch it until you're 18. So that's also, it's building those skills of delayed gratification and understanding how money can compound over time. So that's just another example. That was a good chat. I thought it was a really good Chat GPT response. Okay, so those were a few creative ways you could use this with your students. And the best advice can come here from the chat by looking at some of the ways that people are using that. So how could you get your students to use this appropriately? Now, of course, it's always hard when I was teaching 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds, and you guys are teaching mostly adults. It's hard for students to be disciplined enough to not go and play video games on their laptops. And that was a big issue when I was in the classroom. But it might be easier with adults to get them and say, here's some practice problems. Here's how you can understand how to get started in investing. So you can give students some prompts or encourage them to keep asking questions with the AI, and don't just look at it as take the first answer. You need to learn how to, the people that are getting the most out of AI are spending the time coming up with good questions and prompts. So if you think of AI, I guess, as like, if this is with things that are happening. Okay, so here's some you could do. You could say interview practice. We could debate an issue that has what are the pros and cons of paying off your house early versus renting versus owning. Interactive simulations. I will put this link in the chat for you, and this is something you could do with your students. And I'll throw this in the chat for everybody if you want to look at that, or you could scan the code. That I will get back to that in a second. So I've made some money mastery prompts. So here you could say, so what I like about this document is you can just hand this to your students and they can go ahead and paste this into AI. So here's an example, life after graduation role play. So what the description is students are going to start their own adventure to practice real world personal finance skills like budgeting, goal setting, career exploration. So it actually, the AI will actually turn it into kind of a game that you don't have to spend hours creating. You just have to kind of go give them a prompt. So here's the prompt. Say, take me through this. So they just basically would put this into Chat GPT. and say, take me through this role play teaching key personal finance skills along the way. Congrats. You've just graduated from college, or let's say you got your GED, or you community college, whatever, whatever your students are at, level they're at. You're about to enter the real world, but first you have a big decision to make. Do you want to explore career options or jump right into budgeting your first apartment? And you type career or apartment, and the choice is yours. So it really gets us kind of a cool activity that they can go through. Stock market storytelling. You could say, choose a random publicly traded stock and generate a chart showing that over time, and say, what's one trend that you can say, like, look at NVIDIA. What trend? Well, the company's spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI chips to, feed the need for people's AI. Or the famous investor Warren Buffett from Berkshire Hathaway. So step into the mind of one of history's greatest inventors. You'll see why patience and simplicity can be powerful when it builds wealth. Prompt: you're Warren Buffett speaking to a high school class. Explain why long-term investing index funds outperform professionals. So you notice I'm not using this just like Google. You're actually asking the AI model to do some things. You could do job interview simulator, insurance study partner. Act as my tutor, help me study for an insurance test. Explain the types of insurance, health, auto, what's the difference between premiums, deductibles. And again, don't have time to go through all of these things. Oh, I like this one, rent or buy housing alternative. So you give a prompt, and then it's going to say, they pick, so you give the students some ownership, they can click rent or buy, and the model will keep going through questions for them. So that's a really, what I like about this is you're just giving the prompts to the students, and they can go ahead and get some good experience using AI to help them with their finances and understand how powerful AI can be to help people with their finances. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but it's getting pretty good. Like you can take like if you could put in your artificial or your stock portfolio or your retirement plan, or say, these are my options for in my school districts or my community colleges 403B or 457 plan or 401k plan, and put in the options, say, what's a good one for diversification for my age? Let's say, I'm, this age, I'm 20 years from retirement will be, and it's coming up with pretty good stuff. So, the possibilities are really good. And then, some people are using it as their own financial advisor. Now, I'm not saying whether that's good advice or bad, but a lot of people are investing on their own now and just using AI, putting stuff into AI and learning about finances. Okay, a couple more examples of how you could use this. Ask GPT to become your adventure story, kind of like I showed you in that example. You could explore a career or jump right into budgeting. So that's a whole prompt that you could use. Okay, another thing that is out there is Notebook LM. Students summarize financial readings, creating podcasts, generating comprehension questions, and so on. So students could read an article on banking, upload it to Notebook LM, and then it actually creates a podcast summary. So you can have students listen to a podcast based on this. Let me play this here just for a second.
All right, so we're diving deep into banking basics today. We're talking savings, we're talking checking, all that good stuff. And I have to say, you guys send over some really interesting pieces from banking basics and financial wisdom. Like, who knew talking about money could be so, well, poetic?
Yeah, it definitely has a unique perspective, and it really emphasizes that savings and checking accounts aren't interchangeable. They each have a distinct purpose in helping you manage your money.
For sure. So let's start with savings accounts. I feel like most people kind of see them like a more adult piggy bank, right?
Yeah.
You put money in, it stays safe, maybe earns a little interest. But this book, it almost describes savings accounts like they're like living, breathing things.
It does use a lot of imagery, that's for sure. But one of the key takeaways is that the money in your savings account isn't just sitting there, it's actually growing. Think of it this way.
Okay, so we'll stop right there, but that is a Notebook LM. So you could put just copy and paste one of the chapters of your textbook into Notebook LM, and it'll create a podcast for your students. Love that idea. All right. Encourage students to think from a perspective of a key figure in investing. Imagine, I gave you this example already. Imagine your famous investor, Warren Buffett. Okay. All right. You could, let's say now, not necessarily promoting the use of credit cards, but it can be, if you have someone who is responsible, it can be a good way to build credit by just charging a little bit, paying off your full balance every month and on time, and staying, far away from your credit limit. Maybe not be the best idea for everybody, but it's one option. You could paste the fine print of 2 different credit cards, and it'll come up with a pretty good summary. I did this for my own students in college. Came up with a pretty good summary. All right, here's another strategy. Create a newsletter or email to parents about what your students learned this week. I know you're working with adults, so that may not be as helpful, or you could create an email summary of give it to your students, say this is what we learned this week, and it can help you produce those things much faster than normal. So here's the prompt: create an email newsletter for parents and students. Let's say in my high school marketing course, this week we explored the stock market, investing, and Roth IRAs. Excuse me here. All right. Okay, so just a few minutes left, and I'll end a little bit early. So if you want to check out any of these tools and leave some time for questions, but what is prompt engineering? So when prompt engineering is just basically coming up with, and again, not using this like a simple question you'd ask Google, but trying to come up with good lessons. And I'm just going to give an example of. So you're writing prompts to get the language to do what it wants to do. Again, if you put good things into it, you're going to get more questions. And don't be afraid to go back and ask more questions of the model. So I've got a couple examples here that I'll show you, and it should be something to say like, do you think this is a good prompt or not? All right, just 1 second here to get my screen refreshed. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. So on this, I'm going to say grade the prompt. So grade this prompt: explain supply and demand. So we're not going to do the slide just in time, but I would say this is the bad prompt. Why? It's too broad and vague. There's no audience specification. There's no context. Great question, Alice. I'm going to share this slide deck with you so you can have that. Now, here's an improved prompt. As an economics teacher, create an engaging lesson that explains the concept of supply and demand to, could be adult students, using how popular video game price changes after the release, include interactive activities, real life implications. Okay, let's look at this. Here's an average prompt. Describe the pros and cons of using credit cards. Why it's average? Specific topic, focus on a course subject, limited depth, doesn't encourage an engaging comprehensive response, and it lacks context. What level are your students at? Are you high school? Is this adults? What age are they? So an improved prompt would be: pretend you are a financial advisor giving a talk to high school juniors, create an informative presentation on the disadvantages of credit card use for teenagers, including tips on building credit responsibly. Or here's a outstanding prompt, I would say: as a personal finance teacher preparing a lesson for high school students, or you could say adult students, develop an interactive module on the importance of starting retirement savings early. Include explanations of compound interest, comparison of savings, different ages, and engaging activities demonstrate long-term. Why is that? That has details, you have audience, you have more description, specific requests. So lastly, I would say an easy way to think about this is to prep the machine or prep your AI. So introduce what you're trying to do, introduce it with a prompt, give it a role or voice. Are you acting as a teacher, or are you just learning for your own needs? Be explicit in your instructions and set parameters. Sometimes it can go on with 20 pages, and you say, no, give me a 1-paragraph summary of that, and to set those parameters for the what you're looking for. So lastly, I'll leave this like, what superpower do you have? What advanced skill would you wish you've learned? What lost time do you run to reclaim as a teacher? What if there were 100 better yous? AI plus you equals quite the team. And as you probably can tell, I'm a big fan of this and using it to enhance your skills and to make your life better and to reclaim some of your time, because teaching is a tough job. I know I did that for 27 years, and it can really help you be more productive and a better educator, and to show your students, inspire them to use this responsibly and to use it to improve their finances, which the possibilities are going to be amazing in the future to help people manage their finances better with AI. Yeah, that's about all I have. And just lastly, just wanted to remind everybody that we have this FIT certification course. If you want to go ahead and take a test online, you're more than welcome to do that. And yeah, that's I'll stick around if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, did you have anything, Steve?
James, we have several questions in the Q&A, and please, we still have a few minutes. If anyone else has other questions, you can pop those in the Q&A. A lot of great information, James. Thank you. Diana Lackner has asked, with so many wrong information on AI, how do you decide when to use AI versus a tested tool like Morningstar?
Yeah, that's great. You could take a document from Morningstar and put it into the AI and say, summarize this Morningstar article, and where if you feel like you're getting it wrong, say, verify this information from the Morningstar article that I just read, and you can paste that Morningstar article in there. And that's where the teachers come into play. I think it's very valuable, and teachers aren't going to be replaced anytime soon, I would guess, because that's where the teacher role to go in and verify that information is correct. And also cross-check it with another AI. Again, these are no cost things. So like Grok is free, Google Gemini is free. I mean, you may have to pay for more advanced versions, but you can go back and cross-check on another AI. Because I got some bad tax information that was like, no, I was researching something called the kitty tax, like investments that a young person has. I've got a lot of kids, and I thought it gave me wrong. Then I went back and like checked the other AI, gave me the different answer. I was like, yes, this one's right. So use different ones as well. Don't be stuck with one AI. I'd recommend as well.
Thank you for that answer. Diana Lackner also asks, what tool do you recommend for summarizing a video or a webinar into a report?
That's a great use of AI. I do that quite a bit. If I don't have time to listen to a podcast for a YouTube video for an hour, copy the transcript. Right below the YouTube video, it says, give me the transcript, copy it, and paste it into your AI and say, give me a 2-paragraph summary of the key points of this. And it may not always be perfect in that case. They may miss some nuance that you wanted. However, that might be that's something you can do. And that, it's usually pretty good. It might not be perfect, but that's one great use of AI. I can summarize things pretty good.
Do you recommend any specific tool for doing the summarization? Do you find one any better than
ChatGPT
another?
seems to work. ChatGPT is my go-to for that.
Gotcha. And Diane, I'd also recommend Diffit for teachers if you wanted to take a video and turn it into lesson plans and many other teaching resources. Diffit for teachers that James referenced earlier can really do a great job with that. So, James, as you've had the chance to interact with teachers across the country and pick up best practices and things that they're doing with economic education, can you point to anything that you really remember that stood out to you during those interactions? Like, this is really something a lot of teachers are, or some teachers are getting great benefit from a strategy, a resource that really stuck out to you during your interactions with teachers over this past summer?
Steve, that's a great question. First, I'll go big picture and say, it's encouraging to hear. It's teaching is a tough job these days. You've got student problems. Kids come in with their problems from home, and but it's really got teachers to buy back some of their time. It's instead of spending all Sunday working on things, AI is helping them be way more productive. So maybe they can enjoy their weekends and watch the football game on Sunday instead of working on lessons all day. So I think a lot of teachers that are getting good at that are becoming more productive, and it's making them a better teacher when you can take the weekend off and know you don't have to. AI can help you be way more productive with your administrative tasks. And then on a personal level, I know Magic School is really popular for one of the AIs that's specifically built for educators. So I would think that is a good one to use. I think the podcast, like I said, Google Notebook LM, you can send kids home to listen to a podcast. And then lastly, don't just ignore it, because we know people are using it, and if you treat it like it's this taboo topic, I don't think that's doing anyone a favor. It's important to talk about appropriate uses and model good AI use for your students.
Yeah, thank you. And I loved your analogy about the calculator. Like, this is the calculator in 1975, where teachers thought it would replace students' abilities to do math. And I guess AI is the calculator now of 2026, so to speak, and used properly can be an enhancement to education as opposed to getting stopping students from thinking. So some really good stuff. But
Well
James,
said.
thank you so much for all the wonderful resources you shared and the many ideas that you shared. And once again, you will receive a certificate 24 hours after the end of today's webinar, and resources will be available at the COABE website 48 hours after the end of today's presentation. So, James, thank you so much for being with us today. Are you going to be at the conference in Indianapolis?
I am going to be on vacation then, so unfortunately I can't make the one. But I was at the last one in Texas, and I hope to be at your next conference. And I just love connecting with all the passionate educators. They were just great, and I thank you guys for so many people showing up today, and giving your time to improve your craft. And please reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. I'll throw my email in the chat as well.
Thank you so much, James. Very much appreciated. And thank you, everyone, for attending and all the great comments that we had inside of the chat. So, very glad to be part of today's session, and we'll look forward to seeing you all at a future COABE webinar. And thank you all so much for being here.